Hi guys, so this is my kind of basic contour video. It's just going to give you just the basics on contouring and shading. First of all, the whole idea with contouring is that it all goes back to the ideal face shape, which is the oval face shape. So you're always going to be trying to get that shape, so it's kind of like this. So I'd nearly cut out these parts here, just that part of my jawline, and that would be pretty much an oval face shape. So that's what you have to keep in mind when you're always contouring and shading your face. So one good way of doing it may be, if you're not 100% on what to do, I mean I will go through the face shapes now in a sec, but if you get a photograph of yourselves where you're just looking straight on, and then literally draw an oval over your face, and then whichever parts are outside that shape, they're kind of going to be the parts that you're going to want to soften and shade in order to achieve the more oval face shape. That's just like a really general guide. So if you're not sure what an oval face shape is, just go online, Google it. There's going to be plenty of diagrams and pictures showing you what it is. So I have a fairly oval face shape, but like I said, my jawline would need to be softened a little bit. And okay, so first of all I'm going to start with what I did to begin with. If you have really good skin, you might be able to get away with just adding a bit of concealer, and then you can probably just contour over that. For me, I need to put on a base. So I put on my foundation and powdered well, because I'm going to use a powder contour. So you have to use you have to powder your base if you're using powder on top, because otherwise it won't blend well. If you're going to contour with cream, you can, I mean, absolutely do not powder until after you've contoured, because cream won't blend over powder. So I'm going to start with and show you what products I have. So you're going to need a contour powder. I use my MAC Sculpt powder. It comes in this duo that has the accentuate on this side. So just get whatever one that suit your own skin. It's going to be different for everyone, so I can't tell you what to get. You will need to play around with it, but just stay away from anything that's too orange or too red. Go for more kind of neutral taupey browns if you can, so more of a natural shadow colour. So that's your shader. Then your actual brush. The best shader brushes are these angled ones. So I have this one, it's a Daniel Sandler one. It's just there, it says contour powder brush. It's quite a small one, so for those of you who like small handles, this may be a good one. The hairs are getting a bit splayed, but that's my own fault from washing it. And then I also have this MAC one. It's a bit squished at the moment, but this is the 169. I think this one was limited edition. They do a white one that's practically the same thing. So you're looking out for, they're fairly narrow this way, and then obviously there's a rounded contour at the top. So this is the kind of brush you're after. Then you need a highlighter powder as well. I mean, obviously if you're going for cream, it's going to be the creams you stick with. So I'm using my, this is my Screen Face Mosaic Gleamer. This one has actually been discontinued by Screen Face, but there are other brands that do the same thing. But you just need a highlighting powder. So again, it'll be whatever suits your own skin tone. For the darker skin tones, go towards the more goldy, peachy apricots. For the lighter skin tones, maybe stick for more kind of silvery, a bit more neutral, and maybe not so warm. But just play around with it. You're going to have to kind of decide what suits your own skin better yourselves. And then I also use a blending brush, an eye blending brush like this. And I use that. So I use the blending brush for when I'm contouring down the sides of my nose, just to give a bit more precise application. So I'll start off with contouring of the cheeks. So for this one, this is to give you obviously the more chiseled look, just to kind of slim your face, I suppose. People with very, very slim faces, I do not do this on, because generally if you're hollowed out enough here, you don't need any extra help. It'll look too gaunt then. So general rule of thumb is top of your ear to the side of your mouth. that's the line to go by. You'll actually find that if you press that in against your face, it settles just in underneath your cheekbone. So my cheekbone is there, and this is its natural curve underneath. So you're going to be applying your powder from there down this general line here, and then blending up. So I'm just going to use my Daniel Sandler brush and pop some of the powder on. And then when you're applying it, first of all, you want the greatest concentration of colour to be up here. It'll look really, really daft if you apply it here first of all. So start feathering it down, always keep into that line, and you're going to be blending it up as you go along. So it's better to always add a little to start off with, and you can add on, because this is something that will always look really, really silly if you put too much of it on, especially if it's not a very harsh look you're going for. So you should start to see the shadow that casts in a minute. So I think you can already see that it's starting to hollow this out a bit. Now you want to fade it down as it comes towards the mouth. You don't want it to be obvious down there, because that'll look really unnatural. Now some people as well, see when you smile and there's this line that goes from the side of your nose down here, some people shade that in as well, but I just find that's quite unnatural looking if your face shape doesn't naturally have some kind of hint of it already. The only way I have it is when I put this silly face on me, so I'm not going to apply that. And make sure the powder goes well into the hairline, because it also looks really daft if you can see that patch of skin that's left without colour on it between the contour and your hair. So okay, so I have my cheeks done now, and you can see them there. So when you look straight on, you can see there's much more definition in my face. I could go on further on, but I think this is enough. And you can see there, if I suck in my cheeks, I could give a harsher line or a harsher contour to make it look more like that, but that would just look kind of more natural. So I'm going to leave it a bit softer, a bit like this. There's still plenty of product on there, there's more than enough, and it still gives a good enough contour. So this will lend itself to most face shapes. The next thing I'm going to do is to contour up here at the temple. So this just, again, it helps it add a bit more to that oval shape, just slims the face a bit. So just here, kind of over the last portion of your eyebrows, and I'm just applying that into the hairline. So always brush back into the hairline. And it's a good idea to allow these to link up as well. Depending on your hairline, contouring is a good way as well of kind of hiding certain hairlines, because my hairline goes quite far back up here. I have a lot of baby hair, so sometimes I do like to apply contour powder there just to make it less obvious. So I'm just going to do the same on this side. Then for just to finish off the kind of outside area of my face, I'm going to soften just under my outer jawline. So you don't want to add too much product here. If you want, you can kind of give yourself your double chin just to have a better look before you're putting it. You have to be careful as well when you're as pale as I am, because if you're not going, I mean, you're going to be quite much more flatter looking down here, and paler, so you don't want it to be like brown, 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 and then white. So you have to be quite careful with how much product you apply. So I'm just going to leave it at that now. And then I'll finish off just around the inner portion of my face before I start talking about the different face shapes. So the next thing that I like to do is just for my nose. My nose is quite narrow until it hits this end part where it bulbs out a bit. So what I like to do is just go down the sides of my nose, and then where I imagine this inner line, the more narrow line, if it could continue down here and then chopped off the sides of the end part, I just shade that part. So it's important not to have too much product on the brush when you're doing this one, because again you want it to be nice and subtle. So you can see there it's starting to hide the shape a bit. And I do underneath here a bit, and sometimes down the sides, on the outer sides. So more like that. Another thing you can do is shade just underneath the lips, and it helps push back this part here underneath, which kind of just makes the bottom lip look bigger. And then the only other thing besides that I'm going to do is contour my eye shape. So this will be maybe more important for those of you who don't have eyes as recessed as mine. So just find your natural crease shape and start contouring above it. So this is just to push back that brow bone a bit and to give a bit more dimension. Sorry, I know I'm losing light here, but hopefully you can see a bit of what I'm doing. So I'll just do one eye, and I like to connect this down to the sides of my nose as well for a bit of continuity. So I think there you can see that there's more contour, or there's more definition on this side, more of a natural, well not natural, but more of a shadow, thanks to the contouring, but it's still not very, very obvious. So the most important thing with this kind of contouring is that you want to keep it natural. So that's the contouring done on my face shape. There are obviously different things you could do to different face shapes. So first of all, say with noses, narrow noses need not contour. If you have a very long nose, you may just want to contour like the end part, the bottom part, to help, just shorten it a bit. If you have a bump here, I have a bump, but it's not so noticeable when you look straight on, it's just more when you see from the side. So you can contour down the sides of the bump. Similarly, if you have a crooked nose, some people have like that S-shaped nose, which almost curves, maybe so if you've broke nose, or if it's just obviously maybe less obvious in that, but you can just contour on the bump side and then highlight on the side that is recessed, just to try and bring it out a bit. So you need to just play with the light and the shadow. If you have knowledge of highlighting and shading already, if you have an art background, or if you've just done it before in like beauty school or anything like that, it will help you, but you will need to practice otherwise. So I touched a bit on the hairline. If you have very small foreheads, very low hairlines, I wouldn't really contour up there, because you want to create more space there rather than take it away. So you may want to highlight more than contour up there. If you have a square face, so this would definitely be obvious if you did that thing where you drew the oval shape on your photograph, but you were going to want to soften your angles. So you're going to be quite wide up here and then quite wide down here. So you're going to want to soften your jawline and soften up your temples up along here. And you're going to want to kind of give yourself kind of a more rounded look here. So I would contour under this way in more of a curve. Some people with square faces tend to have flatter cheekbones as well, so do highlight all along this area. I will highlight my own face in a minute. Okay, so if you have a long face, you're going to want to obviously try and shorten it. So it's going to be similar. Some people with long faces tend to have quite heavy jawlines. So if it's like that, it will be similar to the squared face, where you're going to want to soften the jawline, but you're also going to be softening the chin area as well, and then up along the top of your face. So just constantly try and keep that idea of having the oval shape in your mind. Then with long faces, they also tend to be more narrow here, so you don't want to contour too much right at this end. You're going to want to highlight up along here, just so that it kind of stretches the face a bit, so bring it out. Then with round face shapes, you're going to want to definitely contour in along here to give it a more chiseled look, generally down here a bit. So it's just to narrow the cheeks more than anything else when it comes to that face shape. Obviously if you have a double chin as well, you're going to want to be contouring under along this area. Then with heart shaped faces, they have pretty nice, sometimes, I mean, I quite like the heart shaped face. You may want to contour just under the chin if it's quite pointy. And then if it's quite wide here, which is that generally more of a diamond shaped face, but if it's quite wide up here, obviously you might want to contour here and don't touch your jawline. But if you have a diamond face, it means that you're wider here, at the top of the cheekbones, narrow here and narrow here. So you're going to want to contour just this area and then highlight here and here. So just be aware of the oval face shape constantly when you're doing your contouring. And there is a lot of information about this online, diagrams and stuff as well, if you want to refer to them. So just Google face shapes and contouring and shading as much as you can. So what else have I left? I'm just going to contour or shade. I'm going to highlight now to finish this off. So for my face shape, I tend to highlight along the top of my cheekbones. If you're powdering up along this area, especially if you're kind of from your mid-20s onwards, it's important not to smile when you're applying it up here, because if you smile, you're creating lines, and then when you put the powder over the lines, once it relaxes again, the lines have been accentuated, especially when it's a highlighter you're using, because as the light hits it, it's going to be even more obvious that there's lines there. So try not to smile if you are conscious of any few little expression lines there. So it's just along up that area. I do my Cupid's bow. This is pretty much good for anyone, unless you have very, very large lips, very naturally large lips, or, well, don't have to be naturally large, just very large lips. Highlighting your Cupid's bow, which is just this dip here, is really, really attractive as well. Just down the center of the nose, unless your nose is very protruding or very long. I like to highlight down here a little bit. Then just up here above the eyebrow area, and then let's get my brush on the center of my eyelids, my eyelids, and then just underneath the brow arch. Now, because my eyebrows and my eyebrow bones are quite puffy, I have quite prominent bones. It generally goes hand in hand with having such deep set eyes. They look quite puffy as it is. So if I don't bring down my highlight any further than say here, unless it's a really certain particular type of look I'm going for, because it'll just accentuate the puffiness of them more. So for me, I try to keep it far enough up here. So that's pretty much my face, how I do it completed. Now it's going to be different, like I said, for different face shapes for highlighting. So for the longer face shapes, you don't want to highlight down here or up this area because it's already stretched enough. You want to stretch your face out a bit more. So you're going to highlight along here, bringing it back, and here. So always try and keep in mind the oval face shape. For square faces, you're going to want to round the cheeks a bit generally. You're not going to want to highlight anywhere around your angles. For round face shapes, it's already round enough, so keep the highlight within the kind of more center area of the face. For pear-shaped faces, which means it's larger down here and more narrow up here, you're going to be contouring down along this area and probably highlighting along the outer forehead area. For heart-shaped faces, you may want to highlight your jawline if it is very, very narrow. And the same with diamond face shapes. And with diamond face shapes, you may want to highlight up along here depending on how angled your forehead is. So this should just give you an idea. There's a lot more reference material on the internet if you really are, if you're more interested in looking at it. A lot of the other gurus have really, really good contour videos up, so have a look at theirs. And that's pretty much it. So I mean, this in itself is a look. I would consider a look. So for daytime, for me, just to finish this off, I would just pop on a bit of mascara and some lipstick. I mean, you could even just leave in the lipsticks nude. It looks quite striking as it is. I mean, it's just very, very pretty natural look. But I'm just going to pop on some mascara and lipstick, and then be back. Okay, so this is pretty much how I would finish the look. All I added was the mascara and lipstick. So that is it, without taking too much focus away from the the contour. So I hope this video was helpful for some of you. I know these videos tend not to be as popular as a lot of my other videos, like the tutorials and stuff, but I think they're still really important, especially for those people who are really, really interested in learning how to do makeup, because if you don't have these basics down, you're not going to be able to become a good makeup artist. So I know for those of you who really do want to learn, you probably will find these helpful, and I really hope you do. But if you have any questions for me, just leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer whatever I can. But besides that, I hope you enjoyed this, and that hair in my bump is really annoying me. I keep catching sight of it. But anyhow, thanks for watching, guys, and I will chat to you again really soon. Take care. Bye.